Today, we're looking at a guide packed with methods for English learners trying to understand fast native speech. Things like connected speech, chunking. Let's dive right in.
Absolutely. It's got a lot in there. Shadowing, dictation practice, the echo method. Our first thought is really about guiding the learner through all these options.
Right, there are so many techniques listed, which is good, but maybe a bit overwhelming. Like, where does someone actually start?
Exactly. So, while it's great to have this robust collection, it kind of lacks a clear sequence, a suggested path for the learner. The main weakness is that, for someone who's already quite advanced, it's not obvious if they should be doing, say, dictation practice focusing on tiny words before or after something like the 1-minute rewind, which is about whole sentences. It could cause some confusion about where to put their effort.
I get that. But isn't there a danger of making it too rigid? These are expert learners. Maybe they want that freedom to pick and choose.
That's fair. It's not about locking them in. It's more about providing some signposts, some clarity. The suggestion is really to structure the methods into maybe tiered stages. Base it on the specific listening problem they solve. So moving from the small stuff, like sounds, up to the bigger picture, like understanding context.
Okay, stages based on the barrier? Walk us through that. What would those stages actually look like?
Well, you could group them. Maybe stage 1 is all about phonology, the sounds. So dictation, repeat after pause things that help you hear why what are you doing sounds like what you're doing.
Right, the mechanics.
Exactly. Then stage 2 could focus on flow and speed. That's where shadowing and the echo method fit in, helping internalize the rhythm, the music of the language.
Okay.
And then stage 3 deals with meaning and inference, using things like listen and imagine, active listening to really pull the meaning together. It just provides a more logical buildup.
From micro to macro. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, sticking with efficiency, the way the advice is delivered feels like our second point.
Yes, I agree. The pacing feels a bit slow sometimes because there's quite a lot of general encouragement woven in. And that reassurance, while well-meaning, it can dilute the technical points.
Right.
The weakness is that an advanced learner, they know it's hard. They probably don't need to keep hearing fast English isn't impossible or don't worry about catching every word. It uses up space.
Space that could be used for more dense instruction, more examples.
Exactly. Maximize that time.
So the suggestion is keep the positive tone, obviously, but maybe trim back the general reassurances. Get straight to the complex ideas and the examples that show them.
Yeah. Can you give an example of how that might work? Like a before and after?
Sure. So instead of introducing, say, chunking with something like, now I know this might sound a bit complicated, but it's actually super helpful, just drop that whole preamble.
Okay.
Go straight into showing it. Contrast, how are you, spoken carefully, versus how are you, spoken naturally. Or use those powerful stress examples like, I didn't say he stole the money, versus I didn't say he stole the money. Let the examples do the heavy lifting without the setup about it being difficult. It just feels sharper, more respectful of their time.
Right, trust the learner, trust the examples. That definitely tightens it up. Okay, final point. Let's talk about connecting the dots on inference, specifically using context.
Yeah, the guide mentions background knowledge, it mentions active listening for tone and emotion, which is great. But it feels like a missed opportunity to really fuse those into one single strategy for figuring out those blurred, fast speech words. The weakness is that things like background knowledge, active listening, even chunking, they feel a bit separate. It doesn't quite spell out how to actively use the situation, the context, to fill in the blanks when could you help me out just sounds like could you help me out?
Exactly. The learner needs a more structured way to use the topic, the speaker's vibe, to predict and catch those blended bits.
Wait, so you're saying shift from just knowing the context passively to using context as an active prediction tool. That's interesting.
That's the idea. So the suggestion is to build a more cohesive framework. Call it active contextual inference or something. It explicitly tells the learner, use your understanding of the situation and the speaker's tone to guess the full words behind the fast speech.
Okay, so how does that change an exercise? Take the listen and imagine technique you mentioned. How does it work under this new framework?
Well, instead of just visualizing the scene, like we grabbed coffee downtown, you challenge the learner more. Push them to use their background knowledge to anticipate common casual forms or slang. If the setting is, say, a noisy airport, they should use that knowledge to expect fast, maybe mumbled travel phrases.
Ah, so they hear something like, I'm a head out. And they decode it as, I am going to leave now, not just because they heard every sound, but because the airport context plus maybe a hurried tone makes that the most logical meaning.
Precisely. Context becomes an active input for decoding, not just background wallpaper. It makes the listener much more engaged in figuring out the missing pieces.
That adds a really practical layer. Okay, so to quickly recap the 3 big opportunities here. First, create that clearer learning path, maybe tiered stages from sound details up to context.
Right.
Second, tighten the pacing. Less general reassurance, more direct examples and instruction.
Let the content speak.
And third, really integrate context and tone into an active strategy for inferring meaning in fast, connected speech.
Yeah, put those pieces together, and this goes from a really good collection of tools to a much more powerful, streamlined guide for advanced learners.
We hope this feedback is useful. Feel free to revise and send your work back to the critique when you're ready for another look. Keep up the great work.